Prior to installing a RockWheel grinder on your excavator, backhoe, or skid steer loader, it's imperative to test the hydraulic flow and relief pressure going through the system. Throughout our many years of helping customers set up equipment to handle cutter head attachments, we've also found that onboard computers that read and control flow and pressure are oftentimes not accurate, and a flow test is the sure way to know what your machine is putting out. The hydraulic system is a fairly simple circuit, like this one shown. The pump sends hydraulic oil to the attachment. As the RockWheel is forced into rock or concrete, the pressure on the system increases and the pump works harder to keep the flow high. The relief pressure is the highest force the pump can withstand before it releases and stops pumping. The first step is to connect your flow meter to the system. The flow meter tests the hydraulic flow at different pressures. By turning the pressure knob, you can replicate the increased system pressure and read the hydraulic flow rates at these pressures. We want to know these values so we can determine the amount of horsepower the attachment's motor is generating. Open the valves and be sure to open both the feed and the return valves, which are usually on either sides of the stick. Before the flow test is performed, we recommend letting the hydraulic system run for a few minutes in order to warm the oil to a working temperature. Our flow tech meter measures oil temperature as well. We let the oil warm up to at least 120 degrees Fahrenheit before we conduct the test. Once you're confident the system is warmed up, you can begin turning up the pressure on the flow meter. Record on a notepad the flow at every 500 psi, starting at 0. Also note the pressure when the flow goes down to 0. This simple formula calculates the horsepower of the hydraulic motor in the RockWheel. Using the numbers you recorded, calculate the horsepower for each 500 psi increment and record that number. For our test, we're setting a D15 RockWheel, which has a 55 horsepower motor. As you can see, the excavator's flow and pressure settings are well within the capabilities of the D15, and can even be increased a good deal to get the most of the RockWheel. The mechanic can now make adjustments to the flow and pressure in the system to best accommodate the attachment. After the adjustments, if any are needed, retest the system to double check the new numbers. At Alpine, we'll always advise customers on the appropriate flow and pressure, which varies between each model of RockWheel, every excavator, and project application. If the numbers are in line with our recommendations, simply record the final values on the commissioning report, which is included with the RockWheel package. Once all the testing is complete and the flow and pressures are good to go, remove the flow meter. Always be sure to cap and seal all hydraulic hoses and the flow meter. Debris in the hydraulic system can be a very costly error that is easy to avoid. We also recommend having small buckets or oil-absorbing pads on hand to collect oil as the hoses are installed and removed. Now we will attach the hoses to the RockWheel. First, we attach the RockWheel to the excavator, then attach the hoses. Once the hoses are attached and the valves are open, give the RockWheel a test spin to be sure the hoses are installed correctly. Also check for leaks that are apparent in loose fittings. To recap, we performed the flow test on the excavator, recording the flow rate at every 500 psi increment. Then we can calculate the horsepower based on the standard horsepower calculation. If necessary, we can adjust the excavator's system, retest, and confirm that the flow and pressures are correct. Finally, we can connect the attachment and begin grinding some rock.